Today's video will make you angry. Seriously, if you are the type of person who gets easily annoyed when receiving criticism, you probably want to skip this video and move on to the next one. Also, if your career is going great, you're thrilled with your life, and you're happy with your relationships, well, you can probably also skip this video for other reasons. For the rest of you, well, I warn you that this video will contain some uncomfortable truths and is not advisable for the most touchy-feely, even though those very ones, if they manage to watch it to the end, will be able to glean some important insights that will help them perform better in the real world from now on. And let me be clear, nothing personal. I myself made several of the mistakes I'm going to talk about today in my lifetime. This video is based on an article written by Jason Pargin on Cracked.com, to whom I want to give credit. As usual, if you like this video, I ask you to kindly give me a thumb up and to share it if you think a friend or acquaintance could benefit from watching this video. Thank you, and let's get started. Now I want you to do something: pause this video and name 5 impressive things about yourself. Write them down or just shout them out loud to the room. But here's the catch: you're not allowed to list anything you are. For example, I'm a nice guy, I'm honest, but instead you can only list things that you do. For example, I just won a national chess tournament, or I make the best chili in the city. If you found that difficult, well, this is for you, and you are going to hate hearing it. Alright then, let's get started and see 6 harsh truths that will make you a better person. 1. The world only cares about what it can get from you. Let's say that the person you love the most has just been shot. He or she is lying in the street, bleeding and screaming. A guy rushes up and says,
"Step aside."
He looks over your loved one's bullet wound and pulls out a pocket knife. He's going to operate right there in the street. You ask, "Are you a doctor?" The guy says,
"No."
You say, "But you know what you're doing, right? You're an old army medic, or..." At this point the guy becomes annoyed. He tells you that he is a nice guy, he is honest, he is always on time. He tells you that he is a great son to his mother and has a rich life full of fulfilling hobbies, and he boasts that he never uses foul language. Confused, you say, "How does any of that even matter when my dearest person is lying here bleeding? I need somebody who knows how to operate on bullet wounds. Can you do that or not?" Now the man becomes agitated. Why are you being shallow and selfish? Do you not care about any of his other good qualities? Didn't you just hear him say that he always remembers his girlfriend's birthday? In light of all of the good things he does it really matter if he knows how to perform surgery? In that panicked moment, you will take your bloody hands and shake him by the shoulders, screaming, "Yes, I'm saying that none of that other things matters, because in this specific situation, I just need somebody who can stop the bleeding, you crazy madman." So here is my terrible truth about the adult world: you are in that very situation every single day. Only you are the confused guy with the pocket knife. All of society is the bleeding gunshot victim. If you want to know why society seems to shun you, or why you seem to get no respect, it's because society is full of people who need things. They need houses built, they need food to eat, they need entertainment, they need fulfilling sexual relationships. You arrived at the scene of that emergency, holding your pocket knife, by virtue of your birth. The moment you came into the world, you became part of a system designed purely to see to people's needs. Either you will go about the task of seeing to those needs by learning a unique set of skills, or the world will reject you, no matter how inoffensive and courteous you are. You will be poor, you will be alone, you will be left out in the cold. Does that seem mean, or crass, or materialistic? What about love and kindness? Don't those things matter? Of course. As long as they result in you doing things for people that they can't get elsewhere. 2. You are your job. The difference between 2 attitudes, being frustrated or being motivated in the workplace, determines to a large extent how successful or unsuccessful a person will be in the world. Many object to this argument with Tyler Durden's line in the well-known movie Fight Club, "You are not your job." But, in fact, you are. Sure, your job and your means of work may not be the same thing, but in both cases you are nothing more than the total sum of your skills. And by work, I do not necessarily mean what we normally perceive as work. For example, being a good mother is a job that requires a skill. It is something that a person can do that is useful to other members of society. In this context, by work, I mean something useful that you can do for others, that is all you are. There is a reason why surgeons are more respected than painters. There is a reason why mechanics are more respected than the unemployed. Because they have something to give. People have needs, and so they assign value to people who meet those needs. These are simple mechanisms of the universe and do not respond to our desires. If you are now thinking, here it is, the usual superficial, materialistic, capitalist talk, don't you know money is not everything in life? Then I would like to ask you this, who said anything about money? Who mentioned money? I didn't even mention it, you are missing the larger point. Value and money are two very different things. 3. What you produce does not have to make money, but it does have to benefit people. So, the question is, what do you bring to the table? Because the girl in the bookstore that you've been daydreaming about moisturizes her face for an hour every night and feels guilty when she eats anything other than salad for lunch. She's going to be a surgeon in 10 years. What do you do?
What? So you're saying that I can't get girls like that unless I have a nice job and make lots of money?
No, your brain jumps to that conclusion so you have an excuse to write off everyone who rejects you by assuming they are just being shallow and selfish. I'm asking, what do you offer? Are you smart? Funny? Interesting? Talented? Ambitious? Creative? Okay, now what do you do to demonstrate those attributes to the world? Don't say that you're a nice guy, that's the bare minimum. Pretty girls have guys being nice to them 36 times a day. The patient is bleeding in the street. Do you know how to operate or not?
Well, I'm not sexist or racist or greedy or shallow or abusive. Not like those other douchebags.
I'm sorry, I know that this is hard to hear, but if all you can do is list a bunch of faults you don't have, then back the hell away from the patient. There's a witty, handsome guy with a promising career ready to step in and operate. Does that break your heart? Okay, so now what? Are you going to mope about it, or are you going to learn how to do surgery? It's up to you, but don't complain about how girls fall for jerks. They fall for those jerks because those jerks have other things they can offer.
But I'm a great listener.
Are you? Because you're willing to sit quietly in exchange for the chance to be in the proximity of a pretty girl and spend every second imagining how soft her skin must be. Well, guess what? There's another guy in her life who also knows how to do that, and he can play the guitar. Saying that you're a nice guy is like a restaurant whose only selling point is that the food doesn't make you sick. I think this is why you can be a nice guy and still feel terrible about yourself. Specifically, 4. You hate yourself because you don't do anything.
But why can't I find someone who just likes me for me?
The answer is because humans need things. The victim is bleeding, and all you can do is look down and complain that there aren't more gunshot wounds that just fix themselves.
But I'm not good at anything.
Well, I have good news, throw enough hours of repetition at it and you can get sort of good at anything. Don't like the prospect of pouring all of that time into a skill? Well, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that the sheer act of practicing will help you come out of your shell. The bad news is that you have no other choice. You either learn or you stop complaining. You don't hate yourself because you have low self-esteem or because other people were mean to you. You hate yourself because you don't do anything. Not even you can just love you for what you are.
But the whole system is corrupt and on the verge of collapse. What difference does any of this make?
My friend, if the system falls apart, take everything I've said above and multiply it times 1,000. The person without skill and drive will not be given food. The new masters may fly the banner of equality, but you'll slowly notice that the talented and charismatic are still getting the best stuff. That won't change in your lifetime, or in the lifetimes of your great-grandchildren. 5. What you are inside only matters because of what it makes you do.
But it's what's on the inside that matters. My mom said so.
See, there's a common defense to everything I've said so far, and to every critical voice in your life. It's the thing your ego is saying to you in order to prevent you from having to do the hard work of improving. I know I'm a good person on the inside. It may also be phrased as I know who I am, or I just have to be me. Don't get me wrong, who you are inside is everything. The guy who built a house for his family from scratch did it because of who he was inside. Every bad thing you've ever done has started with a bad impulse, some thought ricocheting around inside your skull until you had to act on it. And every good thing you've done is the same. Who you are inside is the metaphorical dirt from which your fruit grows. But here's what everyone needs to know, and what many of you can't accept. Nobody cares about your dirt. Who you are inside is meaningless aside from what it produces for other people. Inside, you have great compassion for poor people. Great. Does that result in you doing anything about it? Do you hear about some terrible tragedy in your community and say, "Oh, those poor children"? Let them know that they are in my thoughts. Because that's rubbish if so. Find out what they need and help provide it. 100 million people send thoughts and prayers after every mass shooting. What did the collective power of those good thoughts provide? Absolutely nothing. Children die every day because millions of us tell ourselves that caring is just as good as doing. It's an internal mechanism controlled by the lazy part of your brain to keep you from actually doing work. How many of you are walking around right now saying, "She would love me if she only knew what an interesting person I am"? Really? How do all of your interesting thoughts and ideas manifest themselves in the world? What do they cause you to do? If your dream girl or guy had a hidden camera that followed you around for a month, would they be impressed with what they saw? Remember, they can't read your mind. They can only observe. Would they want to be a part of that life? Because all I'm asking you to do is apply the same standard to yourself that you apply to everyone else. 6. Everything inside you will find improvement. The human mind is a miracle, and you will never see it spring more beautifully into action than when it is fighting against evidence that it needs to change. Your psyche is equipped with layer after layer of defense mechanisms designed to shoot down anything that might keep things from staying exactly where they are. Ask any addict. So even now, some of you reading this are feeling your brain bombard you with knee-jerk reasons to reject it. These motives seem to come in the form of intentionally interpreting any criticism as an insult, focusing on the messenger to avoid hearing the message, focusing on the tone to avoid hearing the content, pretending that any self-improvement would somehow be selling out your true self. Pull a spoken sentence out of the larger context of the argument, looking for an exception that proves otherwise. Delaying any self-improvement until the entire world changes to accommodate you. And so on. Remember, misery is comfortable. It's why so many people prefer it. Happiness takes effort. Also, courage. It's incredibly comforting to know that as long as you don't create anything in your life, then nobody can attack the thing you created. It's so much easier to just sit back and criticize other people's creations. This movie is stupid. That couple's kids are brats. That other couple's relationship is a mess. That rich guy is shallow. This restaurant sucks. This YouTube creator is an a-hole. Remember, whatever you try to build or create, be it a poem, or a new skill, or a new relationship, you will find yourself immediately surrounded by non-creators who trash it. Maybe not to your face, but they'll do it. Your drunk friends do not want you to get sober. Your fat friends do not want you to start a fitness regimen. Your jobless friends do not want to see you embark on a career. Just remember, they are only expressing their own fear, since trashing other people's work is another excuse to do nothing. Why should I create anything when the things other people create suck? As long as they never produce anything, their work will forever be perfect and beyond reproach. Or if they do produce something, they'll make sure they do it with detached irony. They'll make it intentionally bad to make it clear to everyone else that this isn't their real effort. Their real effort would have been amazing. Not like the rubbish you made. Don't be that person. If you are that person, don't be that person anymore. This is what's making people hate you. This is what's making you hate yourself. You have nothing to lose, and the world needs you now more than ever. If you enjoyed this video, I recommend you check out the video, The Mind-Blowing Trick to Identifying Real Intelligence, which you can find on this channel. Be sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss future videos if you haven't already done so. Have a great day and see you next time.